Welcome to Pretense of Justice News Update. We keep our pulse on legal issues. We are compassionate, informative, and driven. We advocate justice for all. We are Pretense of Justice. Let the justice begin. Welcome to the Pretense of Justice News Update. Let's get into today's update. Today's update is an article from the Washington Post, and it is Fatal Police Shootings in 2021 set record since the Post began tracking despite public outcry. Police shot and killed at least 1,055 people nationwide last year, the highest total since the Washington Post began tracking fatal shootings by officers in 2015, underscoring the difficulty of reducing such incidents despite sustained public attention to the issue. The new count is up from 1,021 shootings the previous year and 999 in 2019. The total comes amid a nationwide spike in violent crimes, although nowhere near historical highs, and as people increasingly are venturing into public spaces now that C-19 vaccines are widely available. Despite setting a record, experts said the 2021 total was within expected bounds. Police have fatally shot roughly 1,000 people in each of the past 7 years, ranging from 958 in 2016 to last year's high. Mathematicians say this stability may be explained by Poisson's random variable, a principle of probability theory that holds that the number of independent, uncommon events in a large population will remain fairly stagnant absent major societal changes. That the number of fatal police shootings last year is within 60 of the average suggested officers' behavior has not shifted significantly since the Post began collecting data, said Andrew Wheeler, a private sector criminologist and data scientist. I think the data is pretty consistent that there have been no major changing in policing, at least in terms of these officers involved shooting deaths, he said. Advocacy for policing overhauls has intensified since the murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer in 2020. More than 400 bills were introduced in state legislature last year to address officers' use of force. Police departments increasingly partnered with mental health experts to respond to people in crisis. Cities established civilian review boards for use of force incidents. None of it decreased the number of people shot and killed by officers last year. The total has increased slightly most years since 2015, a pattern that Wheeler said may or may not signal the fatal shootings truly are trending higher. Franklin Zimring, a law professor and criminologist at the University of California at Berkeley, said he agreed that the rise in fatal shootings from 2020 to 2021 was relatively insignificant. He noted that the percentage change from one year to the next, 3%, was small. While last year policing overhauls did not decrease fatal shootings, Zimring said the stagnancy was unsurprising. A policy enacted now, he said, may take years to make a statistically significant difference. The good news is things are getting an awful lot worse, Zimring said of the 2021 total. And the very bad news is that they're not getting better either. The demographics of the people fatally shot have remained largely consistent since the Post started tracking after a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, killed Michael Brown in 2014, gathering information from news coverage, social media posts, and police reports. Although the FBI launched its own data collection program to track police use of force in 2019, a lack of participation by departments has put the program's existence at risk. Last year, all but 15% of people shot and killed by officers were armed, according to the Post data. 94% were men, roughly 14% had known mental health struggles, down from about 1/5 in 2 previous years and about 1/4 in 2016 and 2015. 16% of people fatally shot last year were killed after police responded to a domestic disturbance call. 11% were fatally shot after someone called 911. Data on racial demographics was too incomplete to provide meaningful analysis. Such data can require additional months of research to finalize. Among the highest profile of the killings after a 911 call was that of Ma'Khia Bryant, a teenager in Ohio's foster system. After 2 people called police to ask for help, body camera footage shows a Columbus police officer arrive and saw Bryant swinging at another person's head with what appeared to be a knife. The officer yelled, "Get down," several times and then fired 4 shots at Bryant. The publicly released video prompted local and national outcry, driving hundreds into the streets to protest another deadly interaction between law enforcement and a Black American. About 20% of last year's fatal police shootings were captured on body camera, the highest portion since the Post began tracking. In 2015, the first year's data was collected. Body camera video existed for roughly 8% of shootings. The increase, however, does not seem to have affected the number of fatal encounters. That lack of change may be because officers get used to wearing the cameras and do not act differently because of them, said Nusret Sarhan, a criminal justice professor at Stockton University with an expertise in body cameras. Body camera video of a fatal shooting also may not be widely viewed. Some states and police departments make the footage public, while others do not, Sarhan said. He said it is also unclear how many police supervisors watch the video and impart discipline for policy violations. If you know that this will just be inside your service and will not be released unless there's a high-profile incident or a use of force complaint, you wouldn't change your behavior. Last year also stands out because one of those shot and killed by police was a young child, 8-year-old Fanta Billity. Billity was shot by Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania police officer who fired at a car outside a high school football game in August. The officers mistakenly thought someone in the vehicle was firing at them, a grand jury said. 4 people were hit by gunfire, and Billity died of her injuries. The 3 officers involved were criminally charged with manslaughter and reckless endangerment in January. They were later fired from the police force. The shooting marked the 3rd time in the last 7 years that police fatally shot a child under age 10. The other children, both 6, were killed in 2015 and 2017. Of the 1,055 people fatally shot last year, About 1% were juveniles, consistent with other years that the Post has tracked. The killing of Adam Toledo, 13, roiled Chicago last spring after a city police officer chased Toledo through an alley on March 29th and ordered him to stop and show his hands. Video appears to show Toledo stopping at the opening in a fence, turning and raising his hands as an officer shoots once and strikes him in the chest. Toledo appears to have been holding something in his hand when he stopped running. Police have said it was a gun that they later recovered. An attorney for Toledo's family said he had dropped the gun and put up his hands before the officer fired. The relative stability of the annual numbers of fatal shootings does not mean the total is unchangeable. Wheeler said societal interventions, such as new policies around use of force, could shift the total from its expected range. The data consists with that range now, he says, but that doesn't mean you can't do stuff to reduce those incidents over time. And Hannah Thacker contributed to this report. And again, this article comes from the Washington Post. And the title of the article is Fatal Police Shootings in 2021 Set Record Since the Post Began Tracking Despite Public Outcry. And this article is dated February 9th, 2022. Thank you for tuning in to the Pretense of Justice news update. And if you are not subscribed to us, I highly recommend that you subscribe, like this video, and share. And if you would also like to help support our nonprofit organization, HOT, which is designed to help people that are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated, you can help us in one or two ways. You can help us by purchasing merchandise where all proceeds go directly to the organization, or you can help us by donations. I will leave links in the description. And Dr. Carmen Johnson's book, Pretense of Justice, is on pre-order. I will put a link in the description as well for you to pick up a copy. It is scheduled to be released in March. And I highly encourage you to join our live show. We do a live show twice a month, and we are scheduled to do our next show on the 28th. So Monday, the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also watch out for that particular live show that will be scheduled. And to make sure you don't miss any of our news updates or any of our live shows, you can click the subscribe button and also click the bell to get all of our notifications that will let you know when we have uploaded a video or when we are going live. So again, we want to thank you so much for listening to this update. We are Pretense of Justice. I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace and love.